Welcome back to the Smugsy Show. I'm Smugsy, your host, identifying as the Barstool Cougar. My pronouns are first and third person. Each week, for your pleasure and intellectual arousal, you can sling it here with me. We'll explore hot topics at the intersection of sports and politics. Of course, last night was the first presidential debate from Cleveland, Ohio. Donald Trump against Joe Biden. It was the worst thing I've ever experienced, and I was on the Kirk Minihane Show. It was like the rough and rowdy fights that stoolies love, except instead of, Guidos from New York and massholes from Southie beating each other to a pulp, it was like two old dogs, a feral, old, mangy wolfhound on meth, in the pit, in the dirt with geriatric Scotty. Real zingers. Biden told Trump, shut up, man, and everyone knows you're a liar. You can't believe anything he says. Trump says that he brought back football, and he's paid millions of income taxes. Of course, he's completely full of shit. I mean, he's kind of a coot, a madman, psychopath, complete nutter, foaming at the mouth, just foaming at the mouth. He blew his big whistle, for his fat white Proud Boys, saying stand by, stand back, and trying to scare people. Well, you heard it here first, Proud Boys. Stand by, stand back. Go fuck yourself. Seriously. Politics is a lot like sports, except it's worse. The season's too long, and both teams sort of suck. I'm pleased this week to have our first guest. Hello. I am great. This is Smugsy, and you've reached the Smugsy Show, and I'm trying to put you on speakerphone. Who do we have on the line?
You were speaking to Anne McCarthy.
Anne McCarthy, you were a Cougar of the Week. Welcome to the show. You're the first guest.
Well, thank you for having me. There's nothing like being Cougar of the Week. This is an honor for me because I've never been one before.
Well, I was just kind of rehashing last night's shit show of a debate and making the case that politics is a little bit like sports, but it's worse. But I don't know if anyone's going to hear me, and I'm hoping that maybe. Given your connection with Large and your success as a podcaster, you might give me some tips on how to make the Smugsy Show kind of a more appealing to a broader audience.
Well, the first thing I would say is definitely be yourself, Smugsy. Don't alter who you are for anyone.
Even if that means I'm a bitch.
Absolutely. The bitchier the better. Are you kidding?
Now, what about... I was wondering if, do you think nudes would help if we had Cougar of the Week, or do you think nudes would bring in a broader audience?
I think sex always sells. I think anytime you can use sex appeal to get your point across, I think you'll always have someone's attention. So somehow what you're saying is going to get through, whether they realize it or not. So I say go for it. If you got the goods, put them out there.
Well, that's part of the problem is I don't really have the goods, but I was thinking maybe we could present an opportunity for like a Smugsy body double or Cougar of the Week. For instance, when you were named Cougar of the Week, it was because of your very just unbelievable story and your brave telling of the story of 911, but you might not want to, be in a nude. I mean, you've got kids in school, but would you be opposed, for instance, of having a body double?
I would love it. Are you kidding? I would like to take my story. If it could get out there, the more it could get out there, you could always take a picture of a nice plump rear end and then just edit the text right over it. Why not?
Now, speaking of plump rear ends,
I've done it.
Now, this is a little bit off topic, but I can't help it. Did you watch last night's debate?
I did. I couldn't resist. I had my bottle of wine. I had my popcorn because I was really hoping to see something I could show my kids and say, see, that's what it should be.
And
I didn't get it.
No. What in your view, what did you get?
I got, I'll tell you exactly what I walked away with. I walked away with ignoring the two gentlemen that were on top of the stage, and my focus was completely shifted to Chris Wallace. And his behavior to me showed what happens when parents don't parent. They end up raising two entitled douchebag kids who are constantly interrupting, lying, and throwing temper tantrums. I'm actually surprised both of them don't live in their parents' basement. To be honest with you.
I really thought I'm a big believer in occasionally giving a kid a good crack on the, on the big bottom that you mentioned. Mm-hmm. I think all three of them last night needed a good slap.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. Even if it was just a tongue lashing that you got, something. I couldn't figure out why Chris Wallace was sitting below both of them. He looked like, Dr. Xavier from the X-Men. Like he was sitting on the floor looking up at these two men who were going for the position of the most powerful man in the world. I felt he should have been standing above both of them. There should have been a mute button. I would have never allowed my children to speak like that, and I don't think he should have allowed his candidates to either.
Would you allow your kids to watch the debate?
Oh, absolutely. I had all three of them with me.
Were they crying?
They were, I'll tell you, they got disinterested. They were all eager to watch. One of them got the popcorn. The youngest chose the bottle of wine because she liked the label. We made it a very family affair. No, I'm kidding about that. But everybody was eager to participate because they wanted to hear what was happening and see what was going on. And my 16-year-old was like, wow, this is terrible, Mom. My 13-year-old completely lost interest. He's like, I can't listen to this. And my 10-year-old was just sitting there like, why are they speaking so rudely? And it was like, that's what they walked away with. Nobody walked away with, like, I was hoping for those aha moments where you can say, leaders need to lead. And this is what you're here for. But we didn't get any of that.
Well, do you think there's any way that Smugsy and the Smugsy Show might help break through to some people about politics so that they can maybe see things from a different angle?
I guess if they're offered the opportunity to hear something that they haven't heard before, I think they would definitely be lining up for that.
Well, I
always am.
I suggested, for instance, the president said to his proud fat boys to stand back and stand by, and I think he should have said, stand back, stand by, and go fuck yourself.
Correct. I agree. That's probably something I would have said because I think that's sometimes those things have to be said. I'm for it. Everybody's so soft these days. Nobody wants to offend anybody. You know what? Sometimes people need to be offended. Bad things should not be happening. People shouldn't be doing bad things. And if there's no accountability, there's no, there's no liability, and it's a shame. They should have both addressed whatever party is doing damage and said, this has to stop. This is not what we're here for. When it comes to this stuff happening, this gentleman to my left, this gentleman to my right, we are on the same team. We ultimately want the same goal of having a successful country. This is counterproductive. This is nothing we condone. They should have stood by each other. Like there's a reason it says united we stand, divided we fall. Like we have to have morals. We have to have the same ethics. We lose that, then we lose the whole thing. I mean, it's really. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, it's kind of pathetic if you think about it that we kind of look to these sporting events, and at least we've got your floppers, you got your occasional cheaters, but you don't have people just blatantly, breaking the rules of the game. It's no fun to watch debates.
That's why we have refs. Refs call the whistle. They kick. They eject you. Right. I think Chris Wallace should have been more of a ref.
They should have like an eject seat, push the button, the guy gets a bucket of water over his head, a slap in the face, have some Playboy bunny come out and give him a slap in the face.
Like the Benny Hill show, right?
Yes, exactly. Well, I'm glad we agree with that. Well, Anne McCarthy, thank you so much for calling into the Smugsy Show. I hope that maybe you can be a regular guest. If you have any other tips, I do think a nude of you would really go a long way. So I hope you'll consider that, or perhaps a body double.
Well, I appreciate it very much. Being considered Cougar of the Week is very flattering. Maybe I'll get a print and I'll use that. Maybe I'll just wear gloves with a cougar print on them.
Well, all right, Anne, take care.
Thank you so much, Smugsy. Enjoy your day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, isn't that fun to have a guest? Anne McCarthy, as you know, was Cougar of the Week a few weeks ago. This week, Cougar of the Week is Amy Coney Barrett. Okay, she's Trump's nominee to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and she's Cougar of the Week. And the liberals who don't want, a confirmation fight, it's too bad. That's the way the system permits the Senate to decide who's going to have a hearing and who's not. The Republicans are in charge. They're going to have a hearing. Amy Coney Barrett is like the top legal thinker when it comes to conservative views. So she was the head of her class at Notre Dame, clerked for Antonin Scalia, the conservative scholar who is really the hero legend among conservative intellectuals. She's been voted Best Law Professor of the Year like 3 times. She was the executive editor of the Law Review. I mean, she's won all kinds of awards and fellowships. Amy Coney Barrett, it's Cougar of the Week, and it's going to be so exciting at the Judicial Committee confirmation hearing because Kamala Harris, a former Cougar of the Week, as you may recall, the vice presidential candidate, is on the Judiciary Committee, so there'll be a cross-examination of one Cougar of another, and in that, my friends, is how we're going to rise up. We're going to rise above all this nonsense of these babbling white lunatics on stage, on the world stage right now, creating chaos and confusion. We're going to fight that with higher, better talk among Cougars. Kamala Harris and Amy Coney Barrett at the confirmation hearing. I can't wait. Let's see. The last week's poll question was, who is more crazy, right-wing nut jobs or left-wing wackadoodles? The people who responded said left-wing wackadoodles, but seeing last night's debate, I question that result. Right-wing nut jobs were 32%, left-wing wackadoodles 58.1%, other 9.1%. That was last week's poll question, who's more crazy? This week's poll question is, should the Smugsy Show feature nudes? You heard it from Anne McCarthy. It could add some dimension to the show. It might broaden the audience. I think a body double could perhaps be an interesting new character. The Smugsy Body Double parody account, maybe. Well, we'll see. I hope that you will vote on this week's poll question. I hope you'll follow me on Twitter at SmugsyGirl. I hope you'll subscribe to the Smugsy Show. The Smugsy Studio, if you want to call in and leave a comment, it's 207-747-7044. That's it for today. It was a painful debate. It was good to hear from Anne McCarthy. It was good to spend some time with you. Until next time, this is Smugsy signing off. Take care.